Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to mourn the passing of Star Wars. Born 1977, died 2024. It was a good ride while it lasted. May it rest in peace.
I'd say died 2012 when Disney
Well, I was gonna
acquired.
say,
I know. I was trying to take the positive view there, and
When
just
you- when
say
you do
this
the-
is definitive now.
when you do like a list, it's like he got married in 2012, died soon after. Before we start, Chris, did you expect this reaction online when you'd seen the episode for the first time?
100%. Yes.
Mhm.
When I saw that episode 3, which I watched twice, sadly, I thought this is going to break. This is like Last Jedi. It's going to break fans and lose normies. Normies don't care. They don't care. And hardcore fans like us, or, old school Star Wars fans, just are over it. This is it. They've decided the path they're going, and no one wants to go there. And the whole, just do that character Torben with that god awful hair, and you'll see him in episode 4 as a younger Padawan. He's in that. You'll see in. Well, no, we saw in.
There's
We
another
saw him
flashback.
already. Yeah, he was the bitch
Three.
boy who got like completely bullied by the lesbian space witches.
Yeah, bullied into killing himself. But no, we saw in episode 3. Sorry, I'm confused.
Yeah.
I've already seen episode 4. Like he's so weak. When you look at, there's a great. Obviously, I don't have to remind you the scene with Han Solo when he's first in the bar, in the cantina. He's just sitting there, very manly, with his shirt like down to here, chest hair, gruff, manly guy, a scar on the chin from being a carpenter. Or who knows? I'm sure there's.
No, he got that smuggling, okay?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
There's lore behind the scar, but Harrison Ford and Han Solo is a manly man. And to go now to Torben, who's a weak, twinkish Jedi, is sort of sad.
He didn't even get to have character.
Well,
What's that?
He didn't even get to have a character.
Not really.
I mean,
But he is
before we
very
go on,
sad. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I was just going to say as well, welcome Theory
Oh,
to
yes.
the chat.
Welcome, welcome.
You
How you
came
doing?
at just the right time when we were just getting launched into our discussion about
Getting
the
revved
Acolyte
up.
episode 3.
We were worried
be
about
fair,
you.
Chris,
Yeah.
you warned us. You did warn us.
I did warn you.
You
I
said
did warn
like this is going to break the fandom and it's going to destroy what's left of Star Wars, and you were kind of right. But maybe in some ways it's united the fandom, because I don't see many people defending this. It's almost
They're
united
out
people
there.
in their absolute.
I don't
contempt
see
for
anyone
this.
defending it. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're out there, but they're not getting as many likes as I usually see from accounts that are positive about all of Star Wars. This is getting real difficult to push back on. It's just like, well, you guys hate it because it's like, just don't.
Yeah,
Just-
your excuses do not work on us anymore.
And even the ones that do, because we don't really trust the media. It's not like The Last Jedi where they could just call us the same tactics don't work. It's like, yeah, we're bigots, we're sexist, we're racist. Yeah. Even those people don't like it. Even those, and then see them changing their articles.
That's what
So
I noticed
Theory,
in my
I-
stream.
I
People were
saw
like,
your reaction video to it, and it would appear that you're of like mind on this one, that you didn't get a whole lot of enjoyment out of that. What was your thoughts on episode 3 and what it means for Star Wars as a whole?
I thought it was abhorrent. I literally thought it was. They were just. I don't even think a preschooler could write something so horrible. It just. If you take it out of Star Wars, it doesn't even make sense on its own. Let alone put in the the complications of Star Wars in there. I mean, you have something that you have no idea what you're talking about, and I'm surprised that this got greenlit.
Well, by their own admission, most of the writers in the writers' room hadn't even seen or don't know anything about Star Wars.
Right, my
It
friend
shows.
just messaged me. He said that there were 2 writers besides Leslie on this episode, and one of them never has seen Star Wars.
Sounds about right. And I question Leslie, Harvey Weinstein's former personal assistant. I question her knowledge of Star Wars. Like,
I don't think she has any.
For me,
knowledge.
right?
Yeah.
If I was showrunning and I had a friend who I knew was the best writer in the universe, and I wanted them on this project, let's say it was Star Wars, and they were like, "Dude, I haven't even seen a Star Wars movie," I'd be like, "All right, book a week off. We're gonna watch some Star Wars, buddy.
Yeah.
We're gonna watch
Or
all of
just-
Star Wars."
Or just have a person who's a real expert in Star Wars to sense check what you've written. here's my idea for the story for this episode. Let's get an expert in who can just look at it and say, like, no, that's X, Y, and Z are wrong because they contradict the lore. Fix it by doing this.
Don't they have
Easy.
someone that does that? Don't they have someone that's paid to do that?
They probably do have someone paid to do it. I don't know if they do it though.
Well, they probably don't listen to them if that's the case, because, man, I mean, look, there's a whole bunch of things to pull apart with this episode, but I think one of the main sticking points for people is the thread. It's no longer the Force, it's the thread. Because that's how the communist lesbian space witches perceive the Force.
I said this in the EFAP coverage. Look, they're all dead. We don't need to listen to their ideas on the bye.
That to me was the least offensive, because the Star Wars galaxy and through all the timelines are filled with backwater planets that don't know anything about the Jedi or the Sith, but they discover the Force and they call it magic, or they call it whatever, or the will, or whatever it is, but it's all the Force. And so they can call it the thread all you want. I didn't hear anything about the thread that binds. Yeah, that's the Force binds us all. So I didn't hear anything she said that contradicted anything. Name it whatever you want. It's still the Force. Her doing the purple line there, to me, is no different than Dathomir Night Sisters doing whatever their source. It's still the Force, but it's green. I don't know how it works, but it's the Force.
I
was confused as well about her perception of, this is not a weapon to be wielded by people.
I know.
And then literally the next thing she does is uses it as a weapon to knock people over.
Dude, she was filled with banger lines throughout this whole episode. Several of them were like they're very much invested in just the concept of lying that they tell their children. The whole, like, you children can't make decisions for yourselves unless, of course, you make it in a way that I like.
Well,
all these like constant contradictions. I assume part of the point they want to make is that this culture was somewhat flawed, but I was like, do they realize how flawed they've made them to the point where I think it's on the Jedi somewhat to rescue people from this cult.
If one is inclined towards allegory for contemporary issues, there's one point where one of the mothers, I can't remember what her name is, but the
Coral,
ayahuasca.
Anastasia.
Anastasia.
No, it's corals. This is where she says they're just children, and the mother Anastasia.
No. It's when she's talking. It's when she's talking to both of the twins, and she says,
my Anastasia.
You might feel like you're different and that you want to go down this different path, but people go through phases in life and they grow out of them."
Oh my
god!
God.
I thought, "Ooh, are you trying to have that conversation here?" It's like. Well,
it's
funny when you take it within the context.
It's like that's an interesting one to go down.
But when you take it within the context, right, appreciating this young mind and what she may or may not want, and she expresses herself definitively several times, that the mother's like, "You're probably wrong." It's like, okay, why the fuck did you ask me, bitch?
The show simultaneously wants you to empathize with this coven of witches and see them as the moral superiors of the Jedi, because the Jedi are there to take their children away from them. But everything they do is the exact opposite of that. They are a repressive cult that stifles free thought, doesn't allow anyone to leave, and essentially prevents anyone from thinking outside of the prescribed doctrine.
Yeah,
they're not
using
good
the dark
people.
side. They're using the dark side. They use it right in front of them, even though they don't call it the dark side because they don't think there's a light or the dark.
I assume that's what they're going for, and
Yeah.
that's why they were able to create the two twins using dark side,
allegedly.
Which is such bullshit.
See, I can explain away a lot. And remember, they hired an intimacy coordinator for this show, which means something to do with nudity. Yes, they did. You didn't know about this? They hired an intimacy coordinator.
That was for the scene where what was in Charlie Barnett had his shirt off.
What?
That was specifically
Stop
for
it.
that
but he's not
scene.
intimate with
I'm not
anyone.
joking.
That was what that was for?
Yes.
Oh, well, that blows my theory out of the wall. I thought we were going to see lesbian birth. Well, good. I don't want, see, that's what I'm saying. I don't want, all we have is the inference. If we actually see her, either the creation or the, you know what I'm saying? That's what would really break. Right now, it's just a word of a crazy commie force witch on a planet somewhere.
Well,
where did they come from?
Yeah, they all died, and that we don't have to believe anything they said. They're gone. We don't have to see them again.
Yeah.
I'd like to know
Well,
what they
you
died
never
from.
know.
Was it like shame
probably
or,
won't be
or
back.
boredom or
Well-
what? Like they're just all in a pile dead.
Well, so this is the thing, right? When I was watching the episode, and I've seen a couple people's coverage at this point, a lot of people assume this is the only flashback episode. Chris, you've seen episode 4. I assume that's back to the present.
Back to the present. Yeah, there's
So,
no flashback in that.
something-
And
I think there's going to be
Something-
more flashbacks that are going to
something
put
you'll
this
note-
into more
Yeah.
context.
Is that episode 1 is called Lost Found, episode 2 is called Revenge Justice, episode 3 is called Destiny. There's no double up, meaning we saw Osha's version of history / her POV. I think in episode 6 probably we're going to get May's version, May's POV.
I think
And she's-
Indara sent her someone to do something. I think Indara sent her Padawan to hack their power thing, and so two things at the same time, and so they can each blame the other one.
We're going to get a whole explanation of what
Maybe.
happened. They've dropped
Yeah, 'cause
plenty of
May,
clues.
May makes a comment to fucking whatever the female Jedi is called, that Jedi do draw their weapons,
Yes.
not just to defend themselves, but in attack, implying that the Jedi actually massacred all of the witches.
Well,
or
I
for a
think
flashlight, if you need a flashlight.
if you need a flashlight,
Right.
Exactly, yeah.
I think
That makes
we're all
sense.
we're all aware of the quality of this to the point where it'll be they stumble upon knowing they created someone in the Force. They'll be like, that's a dark power, that's a perversion, and then someone does something. Someone yells at them, someone steps on someone's toes, and then they all just end up fighting, and the Jedi wipe them out. And then
They had
they
a green
say,
light to
like-
do that when the Padawan got taken over in their first meeting. Like that's a
There's not going to be an interesting resolution to this, because if May sabotaged the engine, whatever the fuck, in order to prevent Osha leaving, and then they interpret that as the Jedi did it, and then they attack the Jedi and the Jedi kill them, that could be another way they do this. Like, I wouldn't be surprised at anything. The end result, of course, is the Jedi came to a culture, and now the culture's dead. And that's what we're supposed to take away. And the Jedi have obviously scrubbed the records because they don't want people knowing that that's how badly that mission went.
they
And if instead
definitely leave
blame
her
May-
out. They leave May out. Yeah, of the
we're
records.
going to get the moment where May is confronted by Osha as adults, and she'll be like, "Can't believe you destroyed everything, my beloved parent. It was all your fault." And she'll be like, "That's what the Jedi told you. They lied to you. They didn't tell you the truth." And then we'll get our May side of it. It's going to be incredibly predictable, incredibly lame.
Well,
And then
sure,
we'll find out
Cora's
who's
still alive.
We'll find out who Smilo Ren is, and no one's going to give a fuck.
It's Cora.
I know,
She can say,
I-
I am your mother. Am I wrong?
It's an I am your mother. It's
Thank
so
you.
it's so
It
obvious.
has to be. They're too
Smilo Ren
hacky to not do it.
Smilo Ren is in female form. Looks very shapely like a woman. But
Well,
can
there is-
anyone answer
Well, it's got to be a woman, because every
It's a
major
woman.
character in this is
It's-
a woman.
one or two of the mothers?
They
Yeah,
can't
yeah.
resist
Twins
the I
have
am your
to-
mother line.
You can't rule
Unite
out
to bring-
the potion seller, man. He's
No,
a
I just
potential.
there's nothing more. That's the most dramatic and obvious. But why did Osha want to be a Jedi? He just says it. You don't see what is her reason. I want to be a Jedi. Those two actors, those twin girls, were terrible.
Thanks.
But to be fair, like this is all about breaking barriers, and it's the first time because May wants to kill Osha. It's the first time we've seen black on black violence in Star Wars. So this is something that it's groundbreaking.
Well, someone pointed out, like, as well,
Statistics.
the
That
one
was
time you see a
quick
black
joke,
child
yeah.
on screen, they still
They don't
have
like
a
Star
father.
Wars FBI space statistic jokes here. Sorry, I made one too. It's all right, Chris. We'll try another
It's
one.
all good. The chat hates me now.
They don't like those jokes. Yeah.
I was on Gundam's stream last night, and I was theorizing that one thing that might have been slightly interesting is if they did like what they did in Us, where you think that the good twin is the one who escaped and the evil one is the one who's out for revenge, but it's actually flipped. And
Well, at
May
that
is
point-
the one who escaped, and Osha is the one who's out for revenge.
Why would they get two different child actresses, which we're not attacking, so you don't have to, we're so mean to them, we're talking about them, but why would they hire two separate ones instead of just having one of them play both characters like they do with Amanda?
It's easier.
It's
isn't it?
cheaper.
I guess,
Yeah.
yeah.
You don't have to.
Much
You don't have to.
Oh, so what
Well,
did Torben do? Because he had some massive levels of guilt. Like,
That's
the
why
guy
I
just-
Well,
think
well,
Master
we'll get that
Indara
later.
had him go and slice into their power things, which would have just disabled it, but at the same time made the fire thing. So fire plus so he takes all the blame, and that's why he's boo boo bee boo. And I don't know about the scar. Maybe it's in the explosion or something.
It's just gonna be a big fight.
What about those bricks combusting into flame?
Yeah, it's hard.
I
good.
don't understand what
Those-
fire is in this
I've-
universe, but it's like it can
Yeah.
burn in space and it can set fire to stone fortresses.
And you're not
I've
allowed
seen
to
people-
criticize it.
I've seen people theorizing that May will have been mind controlled to do what she does in the episode because this is. You have to understand, it's so awful that the people who still like this have to find a way around it. They're desperate. I think actually it was
must be mind-boggling.
it was Movie Bob who put out a tweet saying the job of the nerd is to try and make sense of it all, no matter what, or something like that.
Wow.
Just another reason why Movie Bob can fuck right off.
I can't make
The
sense.
job
some
of the
this.
storyteller is to make sense of their own story.
Well, it's enough is enough. We have like a fucking semi-annual visit to the funeral for Star Wars. It's getting absurd. Like,
How many
why?
times can it die? Yeah.
It's and that's the thing. I think someone will be like, "Well, what are you suggesting?" That it's just like, "Oh, just suggesting that I feel like everyone should be more honest about this. Why are we still pretending this is a franchise you can benefit from by strictly praising it?" And that's what I mean, strictly non-genuinely. And this applies. You could go the other side of it as well. But like, so many people, like still peddling. I was quote tweeting someone today. It was Grace Randolph, right? She was like, "This hatred the actors are getting for being a part of Star Wars." It's like, oh, come on. This
Are
isn't-
they?
It's
I don't
not
think so.
I don't see
No one
anybody
hates the
directing
actors.
it
No
as
one's hating
actors.
Squid Game guy for being in this. It's like, yeah, you're in a shit show, but like no one hates you. We still like
No.
you.
No, I think I've gone as far as complimenting him in this show. I think he's one of the closest ones that's dragging people into liking his character through the performance.
He has
Oh, the
gravitas, and like by all accounts, he learned English specifically for this role, which fucking hell, that deserves respect if nothing else. Yeah, I mean, no problem with him. So it's just like, yeah, fucking Grace Randolph being the malfunctioning, retarded AI that she is, just parrots whatever talking points are fed to her by like Disney or whatever studio wants her to say these things. I'm not convinced that she's an actual functioning human being at this point.
There was an account that was like, the Acolyte is so good that anyone hating this has definitely got like some deep-seated issues, right? And it had, I think, 2K. And one of the top responses that I thought was really funny was like, have you liked all of Star Wars up to now? All of it.
Yeah.
Because if you have, it just feels like you don't have a discerning taste of any kind. Not necessarily the best or worst taste, just any taste. You just sort of like, what Star Wars it with?
You made a very valid point when you were reviewing Fallout, right? And you'd finished picking apart all the problems with it. And you just made a very simple statement of expect better. And I thought that was just the perfect distillation, I guess, of the complaint here as well. Like, just expect a bit more than this slop that you're dished up. Because they are capable of it. We know.
It became a
VOT
review.
that Star Wars can be really good stuff. It could tell amazing stories that resonate across generations. It can be done. And it's not impossible now just because you're following in the footsteps of something great. You can still build upon that. You're not exerting yourselves. You're not trying hard enough. Either you lack the skill or you lack the motivation to tell a better story. I think in the case of The Acolyte, the people behind it lack the motivation for storytelling, but they certainly have the motivation for activism. That's the driving force behind what they've done with this.